All right, test 1 2 1 2. 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 All right, trying some awesome Middle Eastern music that hopefully won't get flagged or tagged. Ali Akbar Çiçek from Turkey, who may be Kurdish. Also have some possible great Persian and Middle Eastern music lined up, perhaps. So here we are, back at Dune Spice Wars. Alright, let me turn up it in the sound in the mix a little bit. So, 1.0 is released. That's great. And here we are. Opening menu. Actually, you can see right below my picture. Let me move my down here, 1.0.2.28081. It was just 1.0.0 a few days ago, so they've already been patching the hell out of it, which we've come to expect. And if it's done right, appreciate. Yeah, so I've played in the beta through the Atreides 1. I played the Fremen and almost won, and then sort of semi-reloaded part of that game, and then really almost won, although I ended up losing 2 different ways. The first time with the Fremen campaign, before I reloaded a save, and I only reloaded about like a quarter, like 3/4 into the game or something. I didn't go back halfway or like most of the way. But at first I lost hegemony battle. I was trying to conquer as much land as possible and was just way overexposed and overcommitted, and didn't have enough armies, couldn't move them fast enough. I was from the beginning going for a domination victory, but I would take hegemony. I ended up losing hegemony narrowly to I think the Atreides, and then the second run through of that same campaign, I ended up that I was able to tamp down on the Atreides and lost the fact that the smugglers were taking over Choam, which would never happen in lore, but it was a nice twist. I felt less bad about that just because I felt good for the smugglers. Alright, let's see how the balance is here. I never know how big to put myself, because when I'm watching this later on the big screen, I look huge. But I'm monitoring myself on an iPhone screen, or Android screen, or something small. So yeah, so there were tons of changes in the final patch. It wasn't just a 1.0 release. They added. Wait, my mic's popping. Hold on, folks. They put the little fuzzy condom over it. I'm gonna mute the mic while I do this so I don't kill your ears. Alright, the problem with the fuzzy condom is my eye line is already blocked from either my screen or my keyboard or both. And the fuzzy condom just takes up even way more space, but it's really the only way without a real pop filter. I actually think these work better than normal pop filters, to be honest. You can already hear pop, 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 pop. You can hear the popping less. A little tip to you streamers out there. So yeah, we had the conquest mode already added. Which is sort of a campaign. It's really just an extended normal single player thing, but there's extra goals and more events that happened, and I'm definitely gonna play this. But as promised, we got not only a brand new house that I suppose comes from. I meant to actually look this up ahead of time. I'm a giant Dune scholar. I had no recollection of Dune of House Ikaz over on the right there. But yeah. But what's cool about House Ikaz, other than the awesome design, and the fact that they have sort of old-fashioned units like musketeers and stuff like that. It look really cool. Is that it doesn't technically add a new resource, and one of the things we're going to be looking for, because this isn't just my first stream of 1.0, but this is the first time I'm playing 1.0, and I'm going to be playing, spoiler alert, House Corrino, who I've actually not played before. We'll get back to in a second. But then we're definitely going to play House Ikaz. So they basically are big. I'm sure there's a I'm sure there's a whole description section. In fact, I know that there is about let's see. All right. So so the we'll take you to take you to my opera screen here. So the refined and prestigious House Ikaz, patron of the finest artists, master of every and all pleasures, is formally inviting you to inauguration of their newest resort, the exotic Arrakis. So they're trying to turn Arrakis actually into a tourist spot, but they're also patron of the arts. As it goes on here, this is from the official blog. Historical ally of House Atreides, this great house will fend for themselves on the harsh plains of Arrakis that will without doubt become the crown jewel of the interplanetary archduchy under their rule. Archduchess Amanda Ikaz, here she is, and her family will bring their subtle blend of overt luxury, passive aggression, and political mastery to an already over-contested Dune, which will surely throw a wrench into whatever plans the other factions may have cooked up. So what's great is, for gameplay reasons, even if they just had Harkonnen, Smugglers, Fremen, Corrino, and Atreides, all of whom are obviously involved in the first, book or two of Dune, in the fight over Dune and therefore the galaxy, by introducing a quote-unquote minor house, at least in terms of the canon with House Ikaz, but also one that has different goals. Now, they don't have a new... I thought maybe there would be a new cultural resource. Again, we'll get back to resources, but they do gain authority by building sanctuaries and other type of artworks and stuff like that. So they're not just trying to beautify Dune, but there's, from a storytelling standpoint, there's a great... synergy with the Fremen, because it's possible House Ikaz, so their negative is they cannot betray a faction in truce. So they're all about everyone holding hands and appreciating high culture and so forth. But the greening of Dune, or at least the somewhat taming of Dune, which the Fremen don't openly have yet in the opening Dune book, but becomes more and more important to them as the Dune books go along, would make sense. and also the Atreides and the Fremen being allies in the books, obviously, with Muad'Dib, but also within the game that we start as allies with House Akaz, starts as allies with House Atreides, and then the natural relationship between Atreides and the Fremen, and then of course the natural what's the word I'm looking for? Not big fans of House Harkonnen and House Corrino's methods of terror and violence and brutality and totalitarianism, and so forth. And so, just to jump back to House Akaz very quickly. Now you can see with the Dune wiki here. So Akaz was the fourth planet orbiting Alpha Centauri B, which is interesting. It says they appear in Dune and mentioned in Chapter House. So Akaz was captured by the honored Matres thousands of years after the events here, which is, they come back in Heretics of Dune and Chapter House Dune. They're sort of the rogue evil rogue Bene Gesserit who comes back. Interestingly here, it says the planet was nicknamed the Sculptor's Paradise, again accentuating the artwork. Other famous plants of Akaz was Alaka wood, which gave the Alaka drug, and Samuta, which is mentioned, I don't know about the Alaka drug, but Samuta is for sure mentioned as a narcotic in the Old Imperium, of course. Among everything that it does, spice is, of course, a narcotic to say the least. Samuta is more of your traditional getting high narcotic, I would say. And also the Truth Serum, Verite, Sappho, Planicenta, and Hoofa Vine, which gave the Crimskull fiber. So they are mentioned in the books, but it's not like a huge thing. But I think this is great to start introducing minor houses in this game because they can be more creatively. They can take, for all the faults of this game, and we'll talk about the good and bad side as we go into it, and we'll see how much it's improved or not improved, or maybe gotten worse in some areas. I don't think it's gotten worse in some areas, but it's definitely improved probably some areas more than others. Is that this is an alternate Dune where, the Atreides do come to the planet, but it's sort of more of an open competition between the major houses and now the minor houses, along with the Fremen and the smugglers. The Fremen have different goals and aren't as united as sort of in the book. We don't have Muad'Dib, at least not yet in this story. The smugglers are much more powerful, in much more their own faction, and can engage in international intergalactic politics a lot more than the book. So while you're creating a sort of alternate universe Dune where there's lots more factions fighting, and it's not just one big trap laid by the Harkonnens and the Emperor from House Corrino, who we're going to be playing, I think, in the first 1.0 playthrough here, which I'm very excited about, but that you can introduce some of these minor houses that are just mentioned in passing and play on the few things we do know about them. So we do know that Akaz are into beauty and art, but they also have pretty fierce forces. You can see down here some of their units. It says the Archduchess Armanda Akaz is a refined, formidable lady, one who is not easily satisfied, knows how to get what she wants. Political acumen is not to be underestimated. At the head of one of the most powerful houses in the galaxy, she managed to navigate several crises that could have been the end of her house with relatively little loss. While most perceive her as a ruthless and dry woman, not unheard of for her to display affection and warmth towards those who have proven to be her friends, which I guess start with the Atreides. Now, the Atreides, because of their diplomacy, and now the Akaz with their diplomacy, you have very open reasons to want to maintain peace and not focus too much on war and try and gain victory other ways. I haven't researched enough. I don't know if it's been played enough because they just came out, if there's sort of a meta around House Akaz about which victories to go through. At this point, all the other houses and the smugglers and the Fremen, the sort of one or two. The Atreides are going to go for, everyone can go for hegemony, but the Atreides looking at politics. In terms of the governorship, or the Landsraad Council, or they could go for an economic victory, they could go for hegemony victory. Like I said, I lost as a Fremen to the Atreides in a hegemony victory. House Akaz uses their connections with the world of art to disgrace and demoralize their opponents. So, it's very pretentious. They build masterpieces, which, while little more than glorified paperweights, cannot be destroyed without angering both the Landsraad and the locals. So, against, all lore, but I dig it, bringing these new houses. They want to turn Dune. They recognize Dune's tourist potential before everyone else, which again fits with what does end up happening, which is, spoiler alert, when Muad'Dib leads the Fremen and takes down the Emperor. Takes down all the major houses and Shoam, and brings the whole galaxy to its knees by taking out the Emperor and the Harkonnens, truly taking control of Dune and the Spice, and then the Fremen lead a jihad that kills like billions of people throughout the galaxy as Muad'Dib Atreides becomes an emperor so much more powerful than any of the Corrino emperors in the past 1,000 years or so, in terms of the hold of both political military might but also religious power throughout the galaxy. It of course becomes a spot for pilgrimage, which quickly becomes a major issue because Paul's crazy younger sister, Alia, who was born out of the spice trance sort of accidentally and mistakenly by her mother, who took a huge amount of spice during this famous spice orgy scene in the first book in order to become an reverend mother of, and accepted fully as a religious leader among the Fremen. Was with child with Alia, and they didn't know, and it screwed up Alia for life. By the time we get to Dune Messiah, the second book, she's basically the high priestess. Paul is more and more removed because he's horrified by the jihad that he started. He can't stop it. The Fremen are using him as much or more than he and his people had used them in order to assert their dominance over Dune finally, and now much of the rest of the galaxy, at least for a while. And so Alia becomes sort of the high priestess, and even when Paul apparently dies, or at least disappears at the end of Dune Messiah and Children of Dune, Alia really loses her mind. And since Jessica's not around, and Paul's not around, and his twins, no one are quite sure where the twins are, and they're still little kids at that point that he'd had with Chani, who sadly, spoiler alert, dies in Dune Messiah, shortly before he goes out in the desert to apparently kill himself, although there's a 99.9% chance that he comes back in a different guise as the prophet from the desert, who ends up preaching against his old sister's kind of blasphemous and heretical, or he's blasphemous and heretical against the sort of Catholic Church style hierarchy and set of religious precepts or so forth. Alia just becomes a crazy religious leader, essentially, because the other Atreides who should be in power, both from a practical standpoint and from a legitimacy standpoint, are gone or not to be found, or babies, or in hiding, like Jessica and so forth. And so there becomes huge religious pilgrimages to Dune, which you can only imagine the Sakaz faction would be big fans of, getting all the tourism bonus. And I'm wondering if things like culture and tourism, which are actually resources in Civ, will end up becoming added resources, or how they'll handle it in this game. So it says, Akaz also make extra efforts to preserve local culture by raising sanctuaries surrounded by their own villages that cannot be captured, increasing their claim and territory on the planet, building a garden resort in the middle of multiple sanctuaries will increase benefits even further. So, but it goes on, they are no pacifists either. The pride and sense of honor of Akazi soldiers is legendary. Their champion units increase in strength upon being bestowed the title and bask in glory with every kill. So they're sort of, high medieval, you can make comparisons from the Greeks to the Romans to the early Middle Ages, the Dark Ages, to the High Middle Ages, to the Renaissance, with all the different factions. It's kind of a mix, the Crusades. Themes of the Crusades are worked in. Themes of the rise of Islam and the Jihad and so forth is obviously in there with the Fremen. It's interesting to have this sort of almost Italian Renaissance, or just before the Italian Renaissance, but when Italy, with the Medicis and so forth in the 1400s, started becoming an economic powerhouse, but also a cultural and religious powerhouse with the Vatican and then obviously the trade routes and so forth. That's really what this smells like with the Akaz. And if you look at what happened to the Italian Renaissance, the Italians never became world superpowers, but they were definitely the ones that brought Europe into the beginning of the modern age through the Renaissance. And remained important economically, culturally, politically, and religiously, and so forth, on and on through the years and still until today. So it goes on here about the counselors you can hire and their unique units, squires, musketeers, fencers, knights. So they're really leaning heavily again into the high Middle Age, early Renaissance kind of theme of the Akaz, which I really dig, and I'm curious to see how it fits in, because again, unlike in Civ, where there's specifically a religious victory condition, a cultural victory condition, and a science victory condition, separate from economics or domination, are three peaceful or somewhat peaceful ways that you can win in Civ. There aren't really, so we're about to start talking about the Corrinos, because that's who I'm going to play in this opening bit here. Let's jump out of the browser back to the selection screen. Who I'm going to play is the Corrinos, because in fact, while there were major tweaks to various levels of the Atreides, Harkonnens, Smugglers, and Fremens, there's always stuff being buffed and debuffed or nerfed, as they say. I don't really care about that. Looking at the base powers are pretty similar to what they've been before. It's hard for me to play the Harkonnens. They're just so distasteful, and it's just about murdering people. And I already basically did a murdering people, taking over the whole land physically of Dune attempt with the Fremen. And it wasn't so successful when I played Atreides and was more diplomatic and kind of did a lot of different things well, but focused on a diplomatic victory. While I had the governor, the final episode of me in the House of Atreides is great because it should have been only an hour to an hour and a half, and about the hour and a half mark when I got the governorship, I just had to survive it. All of a sudden, all these assassination attempts began against me, but then also people were using powers, like Corrinos can use their abilities to just overturn things in the council or reverse everything, or there's counterintelligence things you can do. Anyway, they basically overthrew me as governor, or just removed it, and so I had to build back up my Lanzared standing and authority and so forth in order to get it again. And so I ended up eventually getting it and holding on to it as Atreides, but not without having to pay off tons of potential assassins and block assassination attempts and other attempts to take over things. But the Corrinos were actually changed very little from what I can tell statistically. Now, they're the most recent introduction pre the 1.0 release. House Akaz is obviously brand new, but if you take out House Akaz, of the original four, Atreides, Harkonnen, Smugglers, Fremen, and then Corrino came, earlier this year or something like that, or at least a few months back. It must have been more than a few months ago. I'm thinking late last year or early this year. They were much more tweaked because they had a much better idea of what the final product was going to look like. So the fact that House Corrino is, and one thing I'm really looking forward to after really going after heavy land expansion with the Fremen, and just way overextending myself and getting into huge debt and just starting fights with too many people in a game where you really can't have that many military units, and I wasn't managing them well anyways. But the Atreides, I did peacefully annex villages and take territory in order to get hegemony points and other things, but I also focused on the diplomacy and did much better there. And so the Corrinos are even more extreme in that their big negative is authority cost to annex a village is increased 200% more by distance from Imperial base. So I'm not sure the exact calculation, but basically if you're annexing villages that aren't directly around your base, adjacent to touching your base's region, God, that sounds dirty. And also, while your base is basically just a giant landed spaceship, which is awesome because that's what happens in the books. You also have a second one that sort of midway through the game or between the early game and mid game, you get to land a second a base, and so you're the only group. While your two bases have much fewer hit points, and if you really get enemies, and this is again so thematic, if you really get enemies and they want to destroy one or both of your bases, it's not physically that hard to do if you're not watching it, because the bases themselves are not nearly as strong. And you still can only build one major base building in general, even though you have two bases. But the defensive ability of having two bases and the ability to just build more, structures in general over time between the two bases, the special structures, expensive ones that you can only build in the major bases. Anyway, it's a big benefit. And so with the House Corrinos, villages have +1 building slot, can use Imperial Edict on resolutions to switch their scope, so you can flip it around using the politics. What it doesn't talk about here, and I'm not sure if it's going to say in the game, because I think I have tutorial suggestions turned off, is that, and this is so thematic as well, in that any game of Dune Spice Wars, if the House Corrinos are in it, I believe whether it's being played by an NPC or by the player, definitely by the player. So if you're playing House Corrino, everyone else, rather than paying their spice tax directly to Choam as a bribe, actually pays it to me because I'm the Emperor, or House Corrino, I should say. As House Corrino, I am the Emperor and the house that's operating on the planet. They pay it to me, but then I have to pay an even bigger one to Choam, because in order to maintain my my standing as Emperor and be able to get around, I'm also paying off the Spacing Guild and so forth as the Emperor. So the Emperor still has to be mining some spice, but and this is so thematic, in a little bit of a departure from what happens with in the book, where they use the Harkonnen, they trick the Atreides to come to Dune as a trap so that the Harkonnens and Corrinos can destroy the Atreides and take out the political threat that's represented by Duke Leto, but especially by Paul and the prophecies and so forth. They, of course, ultimately fail completely in the end for some reasons that they should have foreseen and some reasons they could have never have foreseen. I don't know if underestimating the Fremen greatly and the power of prophecy and religion is something they should have foreseen or not, but that was clearly what happened. But anyways, and so there's an interesting thing where, and this is why I'm gonna, even though Corrino can technically go for hegemony win and a diplomatic win, I'm going to actually be going for an economic win with House Corrino, and it's partially to help understand the economics more, because I haven't done a whole lot of trading in Choam as either the Atreides or the Fremen. Here I'm going to be trying to buy up shares. And the Corrinos, so back to their bonuses, have extra building slot. We're going to get back to that because one of the advisors that I'm going to select, you bring 2 advisors on. You have to pick from 4, pick 2 advisors. This is such a board game, this game. And one of the things I really do love and appreciate about this game is it does feel like a board game. It doesn't feel like a board game conversion in the real-time aspect of it, and the in the combat aspect and other things. It does feel like a computer strategy game or video game strategy game, whatever you want to call it. But it really also feels a lot like the board game Dune Imperium and a lot of heavy strategy games. Being able to having asymmetric factions with special abilities, but then also picking advisors that are different each game, even if you play the same house. You can choose between 4. You pick 2 of them. They provide you other bonuses along with some potential other negatives. And so one of the advisors I'm going to choose will allow me to build 2 buildings of each type of the basic buildings in each village, and in fact I'm punished for building only 1 type in each village, and you get huge bonuses for building 2, and that's even on top of the fact that you're going to be mostly doubling up on. So if you're in a region that provides a lot of gold, for example, from special minerals or whatever, or extra plascrete, you double up on those buildings, or maybe there's a ton of wind, and so you build a bunch of wind farms, moisture evaporators or whatever you want to call it. And so, basically, while games like Stellaris and the Paradox Grand Strategy games talk about how you can play tall or you can play wide, wide meaning the normal version of these 4X games where you are doing lots of things like culture and science and technology, but you're ultimately trying to get as much land as possible and conquer the other groups. Even in Civ, you can win on culture, religion, and science, but culture is the only one that's sort of truly peaceful. Science and religion can both be very violent along the way, between religious wars and building nuclear weapons and so forth. But here they've really set up House Corrino to. It's not that you can't win by going wide of House Corrino, but there's certainly, by having more building slots, by being able to double up on building slots, by having bonuses for kind of turtling up around your main bases, but also major disadvantages and debuffs for expanding too far. It really is going to, I think, have me, in the first phase, only conquering areas directly around my main base that I start with. But then also trying to keep space between myself and the other groups that are trying to expand more, especially Harkonnens, Fremen, and to probably different extent Akaz smugglers and Atreides. You want to kind of one thing I learned with the Fremen was, as soon as I started bumping up against the actual borders of the other major players, the other major houses, it became impossible to defend with not a huge army, too spread out, gold, money income problems, and so forth. Became a huge problem because now I'm fighting raiders who just prey on you, somewhat randomly, and they look for weak spots. But then I was also having to deal with taking on the Harkonnens, and then the Atreides broke an agreement with us and started attacking us. I thought I'd actually start by showing what the end of that game looks like, but I think we'll probably just get into House Corrino, and I can sort of show off later. I did a couple of saves when I went back once or twice in the Fremen campaign to see if I could win it without going back too far. I did get closer to winning it, but like I said, the Atreides and the smugglers each won one attempt of it. But I saved a save right before the overextension really started biting me in the ass, and so you'll see how much land I have and how much apparent power, but then you start looking at the numbers and you see how too far spread out I am. And Corrino's the exact opposite. We're really going to be trying to build up, get those regions immediately around me, and then you pillage. I think the strategy is, and then the sort of second ring of villages, rather than conquering them, which is just going to cost a ton of authority that I won't have, is you just pillage them, because when you pillage a village, you get benefits, obviously, from just pillaging, like in any sort of 4X game, but also no one can do anything else to that village for like 30 days or whatever, which is like a full council session rotation, meaning if I keep pillaging the villages directly around my sort of turtle mini empire on Dune, it's not just about pillaging the villages, instilling fear and stealing all their money and so forth, and also preventing them from attacking me, the sort of neutral, independent villages, but it's also preventing other players from building up right against me. So I talked about +1 building slot, and that's going to be even more empowered by the fact that I will have the ability to build, and the motivation economically to build doubles, multiples of buildings in each village, which only they can do. And also, other factions have to spend 100% influence to cancel a non-aggression pact with House Corrino. And so, while I won't be trying to conquer a lot of Dune, and I will be trying to build tall and just make tons and tons of money and hopefully buy enough Choam shares to get 50% of Choam, which is the intergalactic, corporate entity or whatever. That's the big part of Dune. But once I form a non-aggression pact, the influence that it takes to cancel it is a lot. And so whether I bully people into pacts or I, bribe them into it or whatever, or mutual benefit, I can break it with them, but if they break it with me, then they're going to lose influence, which hurts their voting in the Lancerad. And if they're trying to go for political victory or really trying to control anything politically at all through the Lancerad and through relationships with other houses and so forth, will really harm them. And the final thing that's really interesting about this, before we go play the Emperor, the Padishah Emperor himself, Shaddam IV of House Corrino, I would have made him a little bit more Middle Eastern looking, maybe. I guess that's not how he's portrayed in the book. His name is Shaddam, the Padishah Emperor. It's all like Persian, Middle Eastern stuff, and it is Dune, which is so heavily based on Middle Eastern and Far Eastern philosophies and history and so forth. But there's plenty of color being added to Dune, as it should be, so it's fine. And he looks much more noble than he is. I actually think the casting of Christopher Walken, I can't wait to see it whenever the movie finally does come out, the Dune 2 movie. Christopher Walken is a perfect casting, because the Emperor is a total slimeball who's very charming, and is mostly smart, and again, couldn't have foreseen that the Paul Muad'Dib Mahdi Messiah prophecy would lead to his total, complete annihilation. Now, of course, Paul breaks all the rules by dropping nukes on the shield wall, defending the imperial, sort of mobile imperial palace at the end of Dune against the Great Convention, which bans nuclear weapons. It's mutually assured destruction. They all have them, but they're not allowed to use them. But Paul doesn't give a crap at that point, and no one's going to punish him because he takes out the Emperor, becomes the Emperor, and not only that, but because of the control of spice on Dune, Choam and the Lancerad and the Spacing Guild and all the other major factions are brought to their knees because no one can function without spice, and as strong of a control as the Emperor and House Harkonnen and so forth has at various points over the spice and over Arrakis, nothing compared to what happens when Paul Muad'Dib Atreides takes over, because now you have the natives of the planet serving him as a religious and political leader, and so no one's going to get to their spice. Now, of course, they have money and power and so forth, making it even harder and so forth. So we're going to play House Corrino. We're going to work a lot on politics, building tall, not necessarily wide, which is cool because I like this game as an economic 4X game more than, you can't really micro combat too much. And this game could be a turn-based game. I could make the argument this game should be a turn-based game. Less like Civ and more like Age of Wonders. There's a lot of similarities to things I've seen in the recent Age of Wonders games, and so forth, which are turn-based, both out of combat and in combat. I'm glad they don't have tactical turn-based combat in this, because it would take forever. And part of the charm and what they've done right about this game is, I blab a lot when I stream this stuff. My intro's already gone, almost 40 minutes already here before starting. But even while playing, I pause a lot and talk a lot about strategy and about the lore of Dune and so forth. And so, let's see if this music is getting tagged, by the way. This is really old music. This is music that you can't even get even if you wanted to. I'm curious if it will get picked up. Let's see. I'm streaming fine. Alright. If I go to video producers, it's saying anything about... I'm not getting copywritten yet, so that's good. But yeah, so I haven't played House Corrino yet. And so the final thing is, it's because all the other players are paying spice taxes to me as the Emperor, and then I have to pay a combined spice tax with even my own spice to a degree to Choam each month, which is very thematic. It's in my interest to keep everyone alive for as long as the game is possible, because if it's just me as House Corrino and 3 other factions, I think you can still only be playing against 3. I think you can choose it. I'm going to choose it if I can for thematic reasons, and you'll see why. One is that I don't want to play against House of Kaz before I play as House of Kaz and get to understand it a little bit. But also I think House Corrino, the Fremen, and Atreides is such a fun scenario, and it's going to make it harder because those are actually Corrino's 2 biggest threats from a metagame standpoint, because I'm not going for the hegemony goal that both Atreides and the Fremen are sort of built for as one of their victory conditions. And so eventually I may need to assassinate Liet Kynes as the head of the Fremen, or Leto Atreides as head of House Atreides, which is great because that's exactly what happens in the book. Between the Harkonnens and the Corrinos, they kill off Kynes and they kill off Leto, but Kynes' daughter, I'm curious to see if they do this, though they made her a woman, which I think was great just because the actress was awesome as Kynes. And while Leah Kynes is an interesting figure in the original Dune book, the gender of the character really has no bearing, other than it turns out that he is Chani's father. He's the Imperial planetologist, so he's an off-worlder, but he's gone native, and he I guess mates or has a child with a Fremen person, and so part of the connection between Chani and Paul, which makes it even more interesting, isn't that just that she's sort of semi-royalty and one of the more trusted fighters and leaders even at her young age in Dune 1 and Dune 2 and so forth, but that she has an extra connection with Paul and an extra curiosity about off-worldness because her dad was Leah Kynes, and I'm curious in the movie, I think they're going to, with Zendaya, and then even also have an African-American woman who could easily be her mother. It's going to also turn out to be the same, just with just changing the gender roles a little bit. But that Chani is the daughter of a off-worlder, who basically defects from the Empire to work secretly for the Fremen and sort of become one of them and even have a daughter with them, Chani. She's half off-worlder. So while Paul is sort of in his soul, here I go again, poeticizing about Dune. So Paul in his soul is sort of half Fremen even before he gets there. And it's not just that they adopt him for religious reasons, but they see that he is, Fremen in heart and soul, even though he's so new to the planet and has this crazy prophecy and religion surrounding him. But Chani also, while fully Fremen, does have a genetic and parental cultural connection to the off-worlders with her late father / mother, Leah Kynes, as a parent, which is really interesting. And so you have to watch out for all the different groups, obviously, because they're going to be going for different victory conditions and trying to take me down. But that being said, if any of the other non-player character houses are eliminated too early, their spice production doesn't come to me anymore. So now I'm having to pay a hefty tax directly to Choam as a bribe, at least until I buy Choam off and hopefully win the game that way. I'm no longer gaining the spice. I can't be the middleman for a dead house with a dead leader. So if one or, God forbid, 2 of the houses go down early, then it's a huge problem for the Corrinos if you're going specifically for an economic victory or really just to keep the money coming in and keeping the political power. And so it'll be a fun challenge both in game and sort of thematically for Dune as the Padishah Emperor, House Corrino, and that I'm making alliances with other groups. I'm trying to build up economically. I want to have an elite force of my my Fedaykin and some other maybe big flying units or whatever to protect my area. And in case inevitably if I start quote unquote winning in any of the areas, the AI will for sure come after me. And so I'll have to protect it. But I don't really want to focus on military stuff. And as you're going to see, you also get a bonus. Most villages have 5 building slots. Fremens only get 4. I get 6 as House Corrino. And on top of the fact that I can double up and indeed am being motivated by mechanics in the game to double up on buildings in each village, Also going to early on research, it's an imperial prerogative or something like that. I'll have to see what the new research trees look like, because they definitely renamed and moved the research trees around, so I'll have to explore that. But it's, you basically, there's three colors, quote unquote, of buildings. There's economics buildings, which are yellow brown. There's blue buildings, which is like science, espionage, technology, and things like that, cultural. And then red, which is more military. And if at least four out of the six of your buildings are of one of those three types, so you have 4 economic buildings or 4 technology, blue buildings, 4 military red buildings, you gain even a bigger bonus for it. And since I'm not going to be focusing on military too much, it's going to end up being a lot of villages with 4 or even 5 economic buildings, the orange ones or whatever, and then a couple blue ones to help my research or my espionage or some other various things or so forth. And since annexing is really punished outside my direct area, and winning a domination victory is not really what House Corrino was built for. Nevertheless, I have to have some military force, but I'm going to try and go as long as possible using diplomacy and money and just development to keep my own little personal bubble, personal space, develop my build tall, and build up the economy of my empire to the point where everyone else is either just too beholden to me for political economic reasons, or they're in non-aggression pacts that they're afraid to break or unable to break. And all of a sudden I own 50% of Chelm, and now I not only control the political world of the Dune galaxy, but I control the economic one, which is everything but the spacing guilds. Alright, long intro to playing House Corrino, the 1.0 release, and let's see, obviously House Ikaz coming in. So I'm going to take a quick break before starting. It's been a while since I've been streaming, and I want to make sure everything's going okay. Let's go into House Corrino, and we'll select first. Alright, so here we go. House Corrino. Imperial House Corrino has ruled the galaxy for 10 millennia, so 10,000 years, and Shaddam IV, that's me, intends to keep it that way. The situation in Arrakis calls for the direct intervention of the Padishah Emperor, who will use his wit and the might of his administration to turn the war to his benefit. There's the building slot, there's the Imperial Edict to switch Landsrad resolutions, there's the you're going to pay if you break a non-aggression pact with me, and there's I really have to be careful about annexing villages far away from one of my Imperial bases, and I'm not going to be focusing on that. Now, at 5k hegemony, quick side note, reading through the forums and talking with people on Discord and so forth, a lot of people are just turning hegemony off, or at least they were before the 1.0, because while they kept switching between 25,000 or 30,000 hegemony as being a victory condition, it's really just something that keeps adding up through a lot of different factors and puts a timer on the game, which I actually appreciate, and I'm going to keep it. And I think it sort of, even if you're not going for hegemony victory, it kind of quote-unquote keeps you honest. And it keeps it real, because you know that for sure the Fremen, and to different degrees, Harkonnens, Atreides, smugglers, and so forth, are going to be trying to hegemonize as much as possible on Dune. And thus, I must keep an eye on that. So anyways, when I hit 5k hegemony, I can use a main-based deployment on Corrino and neutral villages once. Now, putting a main-based deployment on a neutral village or a Corrino village, now that would be stupid, because you might as well take more territory, because then you're going to create a little turtle around that one as well. So it's probably going to be 2 or 3 spaces away, region spaces away from my first main base. It gets rid of all the benefits in that village. So you want to pick one that's strategically located on the map, not too far from you, far enough that you can shuttle back and forth without even having to build shuttle stations with troops, because I really at most only want to have 2 groups of troops, and so there's a lot of things that go into main base deployment, but you hopefully won't take over a village that has tons of bonuses that the village provides, because the regions, the environments of the regions, the ecology provides bonuses, as it should in a Dune game, but also the villages themselves provide bonuses. And another thing Corrinos are able to do is, so there's one building that you can build in the village, I believe is a blue building. I forget what it's called, but it basically, what it says is, basically creates an extra instance of each of the bonuses provided by the village. So, for example, if you have a village that provides 20% more Solari, which is their gold or income, and the village also allows for, an extra +4 manpower or something, well, you basically just double it because you get a second instance of it. But I'm going to be able to research something as House Corrino that'll give me a third instance of it as well, and so I really don't want to waste conquerable villages that are close to my central bases, that have great resources coming out of the villages, because I'm going to be able to double or even triple those benefits. And when you add the fact that I am motivated by the Corrino's special abilities with the counselors that we're about to get to in a second. Whoops, did not mean to do that. You can see how, without even a lot of expansion, these combo-tastic bonuses, if you will, can help snowball the power and ultimately money of the Corrinos. Also at 5k hegemony, I can offer Imperial Mandate, giving Sardaukar to other factions. This is great. So, just like in the first Dune book, the Sardaukar are given to the Harkonnens to help destroy the Atreides, because they're, basically like First Order stormtroopers, like John Boyega in the new Star Wars movies, where they're taken as kids and put into slave pits where only the strong survive, and so they're these vicious, brainwashed killers that are totally loyal to the Emperor and experience no fear, etc. Because Harkonnens don't actually have great armed forces. They're just extremely greedy and violent and merciless. But nevertheless, to take down the great fighting force of the Atreides, even in a surprise attack, as we see in the original book, they need the Sardaukar. I said Fedaykin. Sorry, the Sardaukar of the Emperor in order to make that happen. And so you say, okay, but even looking at the literature, this makes a lot of thematic sense. Within a game, why would I want to give some of my best units, if not my best units, to another faction as part of a trade? Well, the reason is what I said before, which is that I actually want I want to be superior to the other houses or the other factions involved in this game, but I don't want one getting specifically or particularly much farther ahead of the others, and even more specifically than that, I don't want one eliminating one of the others early on when I'm still getting spice income from them that I need to pay off the overall spice tax, and so I want to keep them kind of, and it's a great way of bribing the group as well and keeping them, even though breaking a non-aggression pact with me has major influence punishments. If they're in the non-aggression pact with me, I want to keep them there as long as they're not too powerful. And if they're not, because they don't want to start a non-aggression pact because they know that they're going to eventually want to break it and they're going to lose a lot of influence in order to do so, well, maybe I can keep them on my side by giving them my elite troopers or so forth. And then at 10k hegemony, for your second major bonus, and again, it's 30k to win the game, unless they change it again. Military units gain +5 power per faction with less Choam shares. And so this is combined with the second one where it says gain +1 guild favor production per faction with less Choam shares. So this is saying, certainly by the time you reach 10k hegemony, but certainly after 5k hegemony and before 10k hegemony, you really want to make sure you're ahead on Choam shares, because while I'm not going to be building tons of military units, I want them to be strong. And if I'm ahead of all three other units, how's the music? So good. I can turn it up some more. And I also haven't done a lot with guild favors, calling in guild favors, and so I am gonna do much more of that in this. I'll keep the space and guild on my side as well. So basically, it's really motivating you to build. And again, it's not the only way you have to do it. And if you're an experienced player and you're playing on hard, you're playing this faction, you want to make it harder, you go for a domination victory or things that you're not built to do from the ground up with the game mechanics with House Corrino. But it's really, really, really at 10k hegemony, which is a third through the game, if it's a 30k hegemony victory, to start getting extra bonuses just by having more Choam shares, which is already the economic victory I'm going for already. You can see again how this can snowball quite quickly. All right, let's go to settings real quick. All right, map size medium, everything normal. You can't turn off domination. I'm gonna keep hegemony. Political is the governorship, which is possible I could get. Economics, what I'm going for, 50% of shares, and assassinations. AI difficulty, we're gonna go for normal. Okay, can't go above 3 AI count, but I can select the players. So here we go. So we definitely need the Fremen. Let's add the Atreides. And I don't want to put House Akaz in because I want to play as them first to see how they play. The Smugglers and Harkonnens will both be pains in the butts. But considering the Smugglers, we're going to try and keep this as lore-tastic as possible, connected to the lore of the original Dune, which is when this is set. Sort of alternate history again in the beginning of Dune. The Smugglers don't become a major factor. I mean, they are a major factor already in terms of sneaking illicit stuff off. Illicit spice off Dune, off of Arrakis. In terms of becoming a major sort of political faction, doesn't happen until the second or third book, or at least it's not talked about as much. And I think it'll be more interesting if it's just the 3 main houses and the Fremen, because they're all going to give me trouble to certain degrees. Now, Atreides also have reasons to not break treaties. Harkonnens and Fremen don't care as much, so it's really going to keep me on my toes. So yeah, we're going to go Fremen, Atreides, Harkonnen. So the 3 major houses in the original book, Harkonnen, Atreides, and me, the Corrino, and then of course the Fremen. I don't know how you can play a game of this without the Fremen, although it does kind of make sense because, again, even though it's an alternate history that takes place before or at the beginning of the timeline of the original Dune book, because it's an alternate history, it's very possible that the Fremen would not play a part in sort of the early politics. So, I could see putting House Akaz or another house in here if we were kind of simulating that or whatever. So, all right. So we're going to have all the goals, normal difficulty, Fremen, Atreides, Harkonnen, the counselors. All right. So first, once you get Corrino. So this is, they say it's hard. But from everything I've researched and I've tried to math this all out, this seems like an incredibly powerful advisor. Can build 1 more of every village building, and buildings that only have 1 copy have 100% Solari upkeep, although the upkeep is going to be a big pain in the butt early on. But because I'm building tall and not wide, I'm going to be filling out those 6 building slots. But I'm going to try and double up on as many of the buildings as possible, so that what ends up being a negative 100% Solari, essentially, or double the burden of the Solari upkeep. I'm going to be doubling up on buildings and taking advantage of other things that I'll be researching and implementing in order to make sure that that's not a big deal. And even if there are villages that only have 1 copy of most or all of the villages, I should be a financial powerhouse if I'm playing the game right by midway. So we're definitely going to pick her. Captain Aram is all about Sardaukar and execution and power and so forth, but we're not going for military power. Princess Irulan, who I would love to play just for thematic reasons. I mean, when Sissia is definitely a player in the books, but Irulan is a major character in the first. Is it 2? The first 3 books of Dune. But her stuff is all about. So the first is if It says political supremacy, Princess Irulan. Every Corrino vote placed on a resolution affected by an imperial edict counts as 50% more and can form alliances with sieges in neutral territories. The thing with sieges is not such a big deal. I'm not really interested in that with my play style or how I'm going to try and play Corrino. I already have imperial mandates and other stuff I'm going to be able to do, so I don't need more stuff going on with the imperial edicts and so forth, especially when I can get Fenrig, the all-seeing eye, and obviously Fenrig is such an important and interesting character. Him and his wife on the original book can investigate discoveries everywhere, which is great because I'm not going to be... Normally you can only research discoveries in your territory or I think adjacent territories, and you have to have agents. And here I don't need agents and I can investigate everywhere. So all I need to do is send my ornithopters around, and I don't have to conquer tons of territories in order to get the big benefits that you get from those discoveries. On top of that, you can use development investment on villages of factions in truce, which basically is an investment that they cannot turn down from the Empire, and I just leech off of production and other bonuses that they get. It's similar to the smugglers. With the smugglers, you have basically an underworld that you can attach to villages of the other houses that are mostly secret. This is not, I don't believe, held secret from the other houses. Excuse me. Let me grab my water in a sec. But it's another way for me to benefit off of other groups without having to be openly aggressive and without having to actually expand and build those things. So we are going to get the 2 quote-unquote hard counselors because they seem super powerful. And again, for the economic victory, things like development investment, and then of course when Sissia's centralized industry bonuses and buffs will be quite good. And so, oh yeah, nice. We moved to Gnawa diffusion. I'm trying to use music that it is not stuff you can find on Spotify and Apple Music. And therefore will be stricken down later. I think for the moment we're doing okay. Let me just take a quick look and then we'll jump into the game. Let's see if they're blocking my sound here. I think so far so good. All right. So this band is Gnawa Diffusion. The Gnawas are the sort of indigenous folks before even the Arabs came to North Africa, specifically in Morocco, southern Morocco, and so forth. Amazing music, amazing culture. Trying to stick with music from North Africa and the Middle East if possible. So I got my counselors, I got the settings stand up. I've never played Corrino before. It's my first time doing 1.0, so I guess we'll get started. Let me grab my coffee. Now, I do again want to stress, I've only played 2 full games in this game, both in beta version. Oh, there's the base landing, looking amazing. So, and I haven't played the Corrinos. It starts with the time moving. That's interesting. And so, yeah, so this will be new. All right, so here we go. So I already can tell where the nearest spice region is. So we're going to send Ornithopter over. Can I assign him to a group? Yeah, so this Ornithopter will be 3. All right, so things I want to do immediately before starting the clock. So first of all, let's take a look at the Choa market. So this isn't going to... this is affecting nothing because I have no stockpile yet. But basically, because of my quote-unquote special relationship with Choam in this scenario, I'm going to get sort of a monthly report about like what I'm getting from other groups. And there we go. I switched the hotkeys to go in and out of tactical mode or whatever. But at the same time, I'll have to be watching close to the guild fees and try to build up my economy fast enough to get those shares while they're cheap and really watch the stock market, so to speak, in ways that I haven't bothered with before. So, okay, here we go. I'm going to need to get a harvester, but first we need to explore here. I already did that. That's one. All right, second is build another ornithopter. Third is build one swordsman and... This is always an interesting. So you start with one melee or two melee, or one melee and one ranged. I'll start with two melee. All right, so we're gonna put the clock at 1.2x. Let me do my first save here. So you can do quick saves and there are auto saves, but they limit the number of them. But I'm gonna try and save as little as possible. I think F5 is an auto save. Let me just check real quick. Solo, quick save, excuse me. Yeah. So there's that. All right. So I don't unlock the base until 2500 hegemony. Here's the hegemony meter. There's guild favor. I already start with some stocks of guild favor. I start with 200 Landsrad standing. We can't. The first Landsrad cancel will be for 20 days, but starting with 20 Landsrad standing is pretty good. Authority is going to be what you need for annexing villages around you. Man, that mouse is so sensitive at the edge there. Let's see if I can stop, slow that down a little bit. Water is important for everything. Now, this switched up a lot. So each water increases max supply of every unit by 5. So villages, I believe, no longer require water, but I believe units and buildings within villages do require water. So I have to watch out for that. Fuel cells are vehicles and drones and heavy industries. So it's a little bit later in the game. But I think what I want to do is really stick to my base military units to start. Sorry guys, I'm gonna to start off with, I'm going to turn off border scroll, and I'll try and just do it with the keyboard. Yeah, it's a little bit better. All right, let's get to the real stuff here. Kayan Kalor and Ali Akbar Muradi in the Mirror of the Sky. You can't find this album online, even though he's one of the most famous musicians of all time. So let's see how this goes. Hopefully they won't tag us. Do we have a notification that they tagged us? No, we're not getting tagged so far. Okay, so right, so yeah, so the plan is to actually have as little military as early as possible, really focus on economics and development, and then at the same time, awaiting order. Received. All right, so let's see. So it's gonna scan down that thing. I want to make sure the ornithopter. Is that really the highest I can go? Before it turns into the other map. Sorry, hold on one sec. 2. Yeah, can't as soon as I go. Huh, interesting. Can't see a ton of the land without going into the tactical view. Alright, let me just switch that back super fast. Alright, okay, so here we go. So here are my units, so they'll be first. So I immediately want to conquer the spice field as my first one, if at all possible. So we're already going to start sending the troops in this direction. Alright, here's my ornithopter. I really want to scan around here. So is this it's really hard to tell regions. So this is actually no, I want to explore up here because I need to see if my base region is touching the spice region or not. It's supposed to be. It is touching. So this actually village here is just sort of the first village. So we just sort of take over this first. They have built-in militia. You know, sort of your given village. Alright, we're going with the scout here. The other ornithopter should be ready soon. Alright, so here's what we got. So I can already get 150 spice right off the bat by spending 300 bucks. Which will be nice because I'm already owing in 22 days. And I can't even get into... So this is one of the special powers of Fenrig's. So we're going to spend 300 and get a bunch of spice. So we're already going to have enough to do spice run for the first time. Alright, so these guys are... I'll speed this up a little bit because I'm going to be pausing it a decent amount. Alright, let's get one conscript rifleman. We're going to have to take this village because this is a big area. Hard Pass. Hard Pass. Hard Pass? Is that a play on Hard Pass? So what do we got? So we got spice here. We got very little wind. We have not a lot of wind here either, but we might have to build a moisture vaporizer or whatever you want to call it. Alright. So now I'm going to put the first ornithopter on auto recon and going to send the second ornithopter down here. But there's no question that once I annex this village... This is actually turning out to be a hard fight. I thought this would be an easier fight for my first fight. I thought 2 units would be enough for the first one. Alright, so there's that. So I won the battle, and annexing takes only 0.3 days. Alright, so here we go. Zema, locals, False Wall South. 100% Plaskeet factory resources. 20% experience gains for all military units. I don't know if that means built here or just in general. +1 intel production per statecraft building. So what we're going to do is we're going to end up with the 6 buildings that we're going to be able to build. We're going to build 4 economic buildings and 2 blue buildings, the statecraft buildings. And intel will be one of them. It's negative 30% local production as long as it's occupied, but once we annex it, it should be fine. Alright, and what's the other kind of unit I can build? Incinerators. Deal damage with a frontal cone. Already getting a lot of upkeep with these groups. They're expensive. We'll get we'll get a second range unit and a third ornithopter. This is all coming out of money I don't really have yet. Welcome to everyone to the stream. I can see there are people in here. Please do not feel free to offer... I won't be openly asking for strategies much, hopefully, but you certainly can put some input in. Alright, so we're already seeing a bunch of stuff here. I'm at 600 hegemony already, which is great. Choam's due in 19 days. We already have plenty because I bought some. And we can keep getting these extra rewards, which is great. So this is a military development, but I'm going to sit on this unless I send military units here. Let's see, 19 lands are outstanding is actually a lot. And I can't actually research yet, right? When does this open up? Or did this open up? No, this did open up. Oh, it opened up. Okay, so I do want to take this. All right. So I know the first few things I'm supposed to get here. But again, this is brand new. Not the band. God, I'm so old. Do you guys even know who brand new is? So I'm just trying to keep the music awesome, but not something that'll get me strikes. I'm not worried about getting strikes for the music, so I'm not monetizing at the moment. But I do want to upload to YouTube, and they're pretty strict with this stuff. Okay, so of the first 2, so because I'm going for an economic victory, I'm going to really be focusing on the yellow buildings and the yellow technologies. Solid materials is already Plaskerete production and reduction on construction costs. That's awesome. The other big one is Megalopolis, which I know I want to get. Corrino Village's neighboring Imperial base, which is going to be most or all of them in the beginning, get extra water without having to do anything, which is great. And you get investment office village buildings, which is, again, going to contribute to other things that I'm doing. But here's the key thing is administrative consolidation. So you get +1 instance of the village's traits and ally villages neighboring imperial bases, and unlocks the Emperor Monument. And the Emperor Monument gives me, over time, passively, either Landsred standing, or is it votes or intel? It's one of those, something. But the +1 instance is the big thing, because I'm already going to be able to build the +1 instance with whatever that blue building is called. And so now I'm going to get 2 instances. Instances just means doubling or tripling if you double the instances or triple the instances. So already you're making... already, each village is going to ultimately be as lucrative as 3 villages if I plan it right with the buildings and which ones I take over. But I'm not going to be conquering a bunch of villages right away, and I believe I have good plascrete production already from the minerals here, from the region I am currently in the middle of. I already annexed it. New village controlled. Great. And so plascrete is going to be 2 of the first buildings that I build here for sure, because we get the bonus. So for developments, so plascrete early on is awesome for trading. By mid to late game, everyone is maxed out at 5,000 plascrete, so it's not a great trading thing. But early on, it's a great way for me to just get money or other things that I need. And starting right away with buildings construction costs down 15% is huge. 4 days remaining. Let's see. Do I want to start already planning out after? So crew and harvesters and spice silos, that's great. Unlocks harvester works building in Imperial base. This is all awesome, but at first I'm going to be, I think, okay with spice. Each village produces +3 research per building constructed. Unlocks Mason Guild and trade agreement, which is great. But I think I want to get to administrative consolidation pretty quickly. Oh, here's the thing, right? +10% resource production in ally villages with 4 or more buildings of the same type. So, again, most of that is going to be economic villages, hopefully doubled in types to benefit from Wincisia's superpower. +1 knowledge per completed district. Right, there's allied sieges, border defense. Yeah, so this is militia stuff. I don't care too much about that. So I do care about this. So I like all the second tier stuff in the green. I don't know what these are even called. Do they call them in the developments? What this is technically called, the green area. It's the Imperial research. Survival training, a military base, but again, military is not going to be my focus in the beginning. Absolute power. Proposing a non-aggression pact has no cost if no truce is active. Gain 10 lands outstanding after every council if at least 1 truce is active. So we want to get truces immediately, and unlocks embassy building. So that's great. So, okay, so solid materials is first. I love the idea of getting even +3% resources right from the beginning. And that will allow me to start getting extra Solari production with integrated costs. Fuel cells is later. Spice production per water is great. Crewing harvesters is great. And then Chom integration is great. Because, again, I'm going to have to be paying very high Chom fees. So I'm collecting from everyone else. So what I'm going to do is solid materials first. And then I'm going to go Megalopolis and then administrative consolidation, and then we'll see from there. Okay. All right. So, all right. We just built the first one. Now we have to still take over the second one here. Now I would love, is my military going to start healing? It's already healing. So the first thing we want to do is we need to get spice going. Now, it looks like I can touch the spice fields. Oh, no. What's the circle? I always forget what the circle is. Right, so circles, airfield ranges, missile battery ranges. Okay, that's a resupply zone. So right, so I need to conquer this village in order to get the spice factory. I really want to get this crashed spaceship. Oh, I don't actually have to go. I can just immediately... Oh, it's a military development. That's actually not necessarily what I want. The lands are outstanding would be nice. Use Arrakis agents, which I'm not using yet. I don't even have access to. All right, we'll revisit that in one sec. We need these guys to rest. I also didn't spend any time in the armory getting gear and upgrading my units in the other campaigns. It's in the Fremen one in particular really hurt me. So, okay. So first things first. Let's get that plascrete. We're going to build 2 plascrete factories and just get tons of plascrete with this extra bonus here. Alright, so first things first. Requires 2 water. Yeah, so the Sim City, as we called it in StarCraft, of like where to place buildings, because this isn't truly a true RTS and the combat is not like a microable, what I would consider a microable RTS game, it's hard to know where to place the buildings. Now, when people pillage your village, but aren't annexing it, but they're just pillaging it and destroying it, they can destroy your villages, but everything's pretty close, so it's unclear to me. This will be interesting. Let's try it down here. So build a plascrete village. So my plascrete's going to be spectacular right to begin with. And why don't we get 1 ranged and one militia and 1 ranged to defend. And then my riflemen are almost ready. We need to take over this village. So I'm going to start moving. Yeah. Is this guy auto-reconning? Alright, so here's the deep desert. So, I'm a little unfortunate the deep desert is next to me. Maybe. Because I'm definitely not going to take it over, even with spectacular water. It doesn't work really for what I want to do with the Corrinos. But as a buffer against whatever is like all around this deep desert, it's actually great. And it means that I'm going to be focusing more on going south, east, and north. Which is sort of what's happening anyways. So, alright. So we can't buy anything. Marco open in 24 days. 15 days to Landsrad. Espionage. Okay. So back to here. So do I just take the research? Let's just take the research and see what happens. Oh, it takes 8 days anyways. Okay. Alright, where's my other ornithopter? Alright, so he's scanning this down. So he's on auto recon, or she, I should say. Okay. Listening. On watch. Scan it. Alright, and then I think I can set this one also to auto recon at this point. Now that I know where the spice base is. Alright, so here comes the rifleman. My guys are almost healed. So I'm going to wait for 1 more ranged unit, and then we're going to go after the second village here. Alright, let's see what we got. I'm going to spend a lot of time in the overhead map because it's really hard to see what's going on. Okay, so here's the 3rd area near me. Alright, this village plus 1 militia slot could be cool. Plus 3 Solari per military building is great, but we're not building a lot of military buildings. But most importantly is the energy source for fuel cell factories, which I'm not going to need initially, but will need soon enough. Alright, so let's see what's going on here. Let's get this other unit built. Alright, so here's the other ornithopter. So this ornithopter is going to go up here.
We are ready. It's an honor, Majesty.
Alright. So, alright. So let's get over here and get this village so we can get our spice production going. Micro them a little bit. Put the militia units up front. Let's go after their range units. Always a good strategy. Development complete. Solid materials. Great. So we're going right for Megalopolis, which is going to give us water without having to do anything. And the plasticrete production is already going to go through the roof. It's about to be finished. Right. So the question is, do we now do another plasticrete building right away? So we want to do 4 of one color ultimately because of Imperial administration is going to be afterwards, so that we can get bonuses for 4 of the same type, and we want the maintenance center as well. So do we go right for another one? We're going to need money for man, my basic militia units just are not very good. Alright, there we go. Do I have enough? Yeah, so we're going to annex right away. Alright, so there we go. So there'll be my first couple areas. Alright, so the plasticrete factory is great. Well, does I turn off stuff? Yeah, I like having all the resources on. Hopefully that doesn't bother you. I am going to need to get a wind factory. This has the best wind factory stuff. And for the moment, my water is okay based on stuff that I have. So, do we go right for a second plasticrete factory right away? I think we do. And just really get that, the doubled power, doubling power within a single village to start our tall strategy as opposed to wide. That's provided by Winsisia. And the fact that we're already in a heavy plasticrete village is great. Alright, so we're going to have to start the Dune Harvester soon. Alright, Ornithopters have an upkeep of 5. I'm already at 1. I already don't have a lot of Solari, so this could be a problem. So I'm actually going to, if I cancel construction, I only get some of it back. But I can already start trading plasticrete for money. So the next building will be a money-related building, I think. Alright, here we go. Luckily, annexation doesn't take too long. Alright, where's my third Ornithopter? So he's already scanning up here. Or she, I should say. I guess I already have too many units as part of the problem. Why don't... I'm going to actually have them come back home. Oh no, I don't want to leave the village until it's annexed. I've learned a lesson before. And then they'll be able to heal, and then we'll go after this village. Alright, so I have 2 Ornithopters up here. But I really need to start researching, not researching. Discovering what's down here. Oh, here's a big wind thing. There's a big wind thing. Alright, so I control this village. Great. I can start healing. That should happen pretty quickly. Alright, so this village, spice. I mean, obviously. There's the refinery. I always think you want to put it as close as possible to... But I want to keep it within the sort of circles. I guess it doesn't have to return to base the way Tiberium does in Command and Conquer. So I think just putting it here is fine. The question is it going to let me build a second refinery? No, it's not going to matter though, because I could, but it's only going to do one instance of it. Alright, so we're already halfway to be able to control our Imperial base. So yeah, this Imperial base only has 30,000 health, but I'm going to have 2 of them after a while. So this will be really interesting once the plasticrete starts coming in. I already have negative power, which could be a problem. Alright, so let's look here. We're building... what are we building? Oh, we're building the refinery, right. Are my units healed? They're mostly healed. I feel okay about this. Let's go after this other building. Or this other village, I should say. Now, the other thing that's great about militia is... oh, interesting. They all suffer when they get disorganization. So basically, it's a morale. They have morale issues, which is not everything. But militia, while they're not the strongest, and they cost manpower and gold or whatever, I guess it just costs manpower. It looks like. Not gold, and they don't have upkeep of Solari, so that's great. All right, let's see how this goes.
We are listening, Majesty.
Go after the ranged units. All right, before we conclude that battle, let me see where my ornithopters are. Put his auto recon on. This auto recon is off. Here's another spice field to the south, which is awesome. So I'm going to have 2 spice fields right away, which is really fantastic. All right. Get back to the battle here. Let's take over this thing. They're going after my ranged units, but we're flanking them from the back. They really have no shot. Alright, so I have to wait for 52 authority, so it's going to take a little while, but it's not the worst thing ever. So already, I've got this region. I'm going to take this region and this other spice region. And then I'm going to take this one with the extra gold for the Solari. And I'm waiting for this one. And I'm not going to take the deep desert. And so at that point, my base is totally surrounded by things under my control, which is fantastic. I need to get the Solari up, but my plasteel production should be spectacular. It's still building the Plascrete factory.
Awaiting order.
You know what, guys? Hold on one sec. I just want to... I just want to post to the Discord. Because I am in the sort of official Spice Wars Discord group. I assume some of you guys, or you folks are. Streaming Corrino 1.0 now. Alright, hold on one sec, folks. Ah, God, the music's so good. There we go. Announcement made. Discord left. Back to the game. Okay, here we go. Alright, so already I've got ornithopters that don't know what they're doing. That's actually okay, because we're going to need to defend the refinery that's being built. So firstly, we're going to go over here.
Yes.
And then this one is going to go over here and then here. So that's taken care of. Still 52. I still need 52 authority to fully take care of that. All right, so we have 2 militia here. We got 2 militia here. The refinery is almost done, so we'll start getting spice. 11 days, but we took the early spice, which was, I think, a smart move. This is an amazing ability from Fenrig to just not even need agents on Arrakis to get this stuff. I can reveal a siege, and what is the oh, so Megalopolis is done. I'm already going for administrative consolidation. All right, so where's the thing with the sieges? Oh, Crafts Workshop is big. Crafts Workshop gives me a land red standing or authority or something that's hard to get. 100% resources received from trading with this siege, but the Crafts Workshops is what I really want. I'm going to go for the crew and the harvesters first. 7 days to build. No, don't really care about that. We're not going to have 4 more buildings of the same type for a while. So yeah, so why don't we're taking administrative consolidation. So we'll take down that. Modular parts is next. Then advanced engineering. And then crafts workshop, I think, is the way to go for this one. Alright, how far are we from? We just need to get to 52 for this one. Still waiting for the refinery to finish construction. Alright, so now my plascrete is spectacular. 40. How do I have 40 plascrete? Well, it's 100% just from the region with the special minerals here. Plus 2 water. So, yeah, I mean, you know, a plascrete building. I can't build a third. It makes 20. Why is it only 20? Am I not in this? This is the region, right? Oh, so it says 40, but I'm actually getting 80. No, village is 40. Even with 2 factories? What is it normally? Okay, whatever. I'm not sure how the 100% is working. Is it normally just 10? I see you having a bit of a hard time deciding what to go for. Base plascrete is now 10. Base plascrete is now 10. Yeah. Oh, cool. Thanks, man. Or person. Non-gendered man. Thanks, dude. That was my assumption, so I'm getting 40 instead of 20, which is great. Alright. I'd really like to annex this building. I still have to wait a little bit. Alright, the refinery's almost done. Let's see. We're going to hold on to that. How are my discoveries going here? Here's another discovery. I can just keep taking stuff. This is amazing. 61 intel when my base intel is 50 with no positive. And I can just get it? Sure. I'll take that. Alright, so here's the polar sink that just has the huge hegemony bonus. Alright, so inactive harvester. Okay, here we go. So auto recall's on. Why isn't deploy? Alright, there we go. So one of my ornithopters is going to... I'm already at negative 20 gold, but that's going to be okay in a second, as you'll see. And I'm going to be able to start selling plascrete almost immediately from doing so. So I'm going to have one of my ornithopters look over my spice harvester in a second. I'm not sure which one quite yet. This one's got a lot to do. I got a lot to do! But the auto recall should be good enough early on. Ongoing siege. Well, it's not really an ongoing siege. We're just waiting to have authority to do it. So do I go? I think I go after Solari next. So I resolved the military thing. So what did that do for my... So survival training is almost done. Unlocks our... Oh, so... Yeah. So survival training is actually... I should just finish because it's almost done and I can start customizing units. So, let's take this off. We'll finish off survival training. And then we're going to go for crewing harvesters because we're about to get our second harvesting area. And then... Whoops. No, we want to finish off administrative consolidation. Oh, no, we are doing that right now. Right. Sieges, that's going to be a little while. Authority penalty. Annexing a village reduced by 30%. That's actually pretty good. And the agent slot is nice as well. So we'll get survival training, and then we'll figure out what to do, because it's not that far away.
On watch.
Alright, can we get this thing yet? Almost there. Sorry, I don't know. It's really hard to tell when this game is paused. I don't love the sort of fog of war thing that it does. I have everything on ultra, by the way. Alerts, auto pause. Auto pause is the game on certain important alerts. I'm going to turn that on. Pause game in menus, yes. I'll turn on the vignetting just so it's easier to tell. It's just annoying. Yeah, that's annoying. I'll just try and pay attention. I'll just try and pay better attention to the clock. Alright, so what's this guy doing? This guy's not doing much of anything. Let's see, where are my other guys? Aren't investigating another discovery. So this person is going to, yeah, this will just get attached to the spice harvester. All right, unassigned agent. There we go. Espionage is open. All right, so I can get a probe thing, but I'm gonna save my intel for now. Agent slot. Is it recommending I go here? Unclear. Let's see, Fremen. Normally it's you're not trying to infiltrate the houses as much as the guilds. Choam gives me money, and I'm trying to take over Choam. So, and I can already do Arrakis quote-unquote missions without needing an agent. So we're actually going to go to Choam just for the money and to start working our work. Yeah, I mean, look at this. I'm going to be able to get maximum money this month because I'm already stockpiling. Ongoing siege. Is it time yet? No, almost time. Have to wait for the end of the day, I suppose. At the end of the day, another day older. Alright, almost done here. That's all you can say about the life of the poor. Alright. So, the question is, do I take over another spice? My army's already at the gold base, and this has a giant hegemony bonus. I wouldn't mind healing them up. Alright, there we are. Alright, we can start annexing. So, as you can see, my plascrete is already spectacular. So, who do we want to try and ally with first? And do we want to start right away? I don't know if we really need to right away. Let's see what our options are. A truce. Breaks current sieges. Wait, what? We both get Landsrad standing. We need the hegemony bonus for the Imperial Mandate, right? So we can wait on that. They aren't looking for plascrete yet. Is anyone looking for plascrete? Not specifically. So we'll wait on that because we're actually doing okay in terms of money and so forth. Alright, so we're scanning down this stuff. Here's another, this is a great wind region and it's got more for the fuel cells, but I'm going to get my fuel cells here, so that's fine. Alright, so, alright, we already have 2 plascrete factories, so, which is already using the bonus of Winsisia and taking away any upkeep punishments or whatever you want to call them. So the question is, what do we build next? Because we're definitely going to build 2 more orange buildings, 2 more from economy, and then probably 2 from statecraft. Now, we don't have the thing yet where having 4 gives you a bonus. There's not a lot of water in this region. 3 isn't terrible. The wholesale market for Solari really isn't that much. And we don't need fuel cells yet, as far as I can tell. So we're going to go for statecraft. Alright. So research hub just takes water plus a big upkeep. That's expensive as hell. That's expensive. Investment office. Right, but this gives +1 instance of the traits, which is great. We could just go for dew collectors. Now this gets intel production per statecraft, so we want to go for statecrafts. And we're going to get +40 military experienced with investment office, and +2 intel production per statecraft building, and more water, I think, or no, that's a faction bonus. So investment office seems smart. Propaganda office is for later in the game. I think actually we are going to hold off here for a second. Let's see. How much wind is in this region? Only 2. Not a great. We don't have a lot of great wind regions. This is 4. This is 5. So this will be spice and... whoa. What's... raid detected already? Well, we are building up militia here. So let's go defend. Actually, we can't really defend. I can take 2. No, I don't want everybody. I don't know. I just want 2 to go here.
We serve the
Nope.
Imperium. It's an honor, Majesty.
Hopefully my militia can take care of this situation here. Alright. Disoriented. That's not the units I wanted to go after them, but that's the one I'll take. So that's pretty good. Alright. So I already have 1 refinery. Building 2 is not going to do anything. So I'm already getting +2 water. It's plus... Oh, dew collector is just +3. Right, wind trap is later. So actually doesn't matter that it's only that. So yeah, so we're going to build a dew collector. Build a dew collector here. Let us not wait, and we'll get demolition. Flying units we don't have to worry about quite yet, so we'll start with demolition militia. Alright, here we go. Landsred Council vote. Alright, here we go. Alright, Landsred witnesses. All faction gains 3 guards will appear to the main base. They will last for the rest of the resolution. -1 spice exchange rates. We definitely don't want that, because we're ultimately playing it off. Elected faction gains +30% authority production. We could definitely use that. Alright, so right now we have 100 votes. But we also have 80 influence. We basically have 180 votes for the moment. So I don't really care about the Landsred guards. I don't really want people to have more military right now, but I don't really care. I'd abstain if I could. Oh, if you vote for it, you get Landsred standing though. Okay. Alright, so we'll put 20 in this. -1 spice exchange rate. I don't know who has good spice so far. But I guess I'd be most afraid of the Fremen. And we definitely want to have the authority. So we're going to put all 100 of our... We're going to put our 80... Oh, I thought we had 100. Oh, no. Put the rest of the votes here. Spice exchange rate on the Fremen. So we'll put 120, 30, and 30. And that'll be our influence and vote. Alright, so we did that. New village controlled. Okay, so we control this village. Great. Alright, so this has great water. Let's see. +1 militia slot, which is cool. Solari per military building. We don't really want a lot of military buildings right now. We want to go down here and attack these guys. So we're going to start sending these units down this way. Let's get them together first. Okay. So what do we want to build here? So this will be for fuel cells, which I think is a military thing. And this one does actually have, yeah, per military building. So here's maybe where we do the fuel cells. And we do 2 of them, and this will just be our fuel cell place. But do we need it right now is the question. I don't think we actually do. Yeah, I think we actually start getting more water. The +3 Solari is nice. But for now, let's start with some water. And we'll get 1 militia and 1 ranged militia. Great. Alright, how are we doing for the contract? 4 days to the fee. We've got more than enough. And then we'll be able to get into the Chowan market after that. Alright. So administrative consolidation. Okay, so now we get a +1 instance of village traits in ally villages neighboring the imperial bases, which is everything. And the Emperor Monument, which is awesome. So now I can start getting triple instances by doing the building, which is called Investment Office, which is fantastic. Alright, so where do we go now? 4 more buildings of the same type. We're not there yet. Research agreement treaty would be nice. Owned villages authority penalty to annex a village is reduced by 30%. So this would be nice because we're annexing early. So why don't we do that? Actually, no, hold on. We'll finish survival training. And then we'll do outpost logistics. And then we're going to do... Oh, fuel cell factories do produce stuff, though, so we should build a fuel cell factory. Okay, we'll do that next. Crew and harvesters, yep. And then advanced engineering, and we'll go from there. Hold on one sec, folks. I'm just going to check the stream super fast. Wait, why isn't, oh, it is showing up. Alright, here we go. Should I build another ornithopter? Oh, right. So here I have my military. So we're going after the gold, because this is going to be hegemony and a bunch of Solaris. Proposals are locked. Okay, we'll see. Okay, survival training's great. So now we can go into the armory and do stuff. But other than that, barracks building, we don't even have the Imperial base open. Right. So where are we going next? Outpost logistics. Right, the authority. So hopefully it's 11 days of research, which is a lot. But it's not that much more than the other ones, to be honest with you. Unlocks embassy building. Yeah, it's worth the 11 days because we I mean, I'll pay the extra in the meantime.
We'll march there.
All right, so we're gonna put this guy on auto recon. Wait, why are you going this way? Yeah. Knowing which units you have and so forth and their disposition, it could be done a little bit better in this game. Alright, here we go. Alright, so we're going to go after the ranged units first if possible. It's already locked, I thought. Oh, I have more influence. I don't really care about the exchange rate, though, because they're giving it to me. Alright, we'll hold on to some authority. Respect my authority. Oh, but we didn't want to forget that the fuel cell stuff is going to actually start giving us stuff here. Sorry, let me just look at logistics again real quick. Where does that happen? The crafts workshop is big. Spice silos. Right, so geothermal condensers gives me 10 Solari, 5 water, and just plus 10 resource production with the fuel cell. So that's going to be great early income in that region. But I do need to get another forest down here. Even though I don't have a ton of gold. Solaris to get the second spice field going. Alright, there we go. Try and keep these guys occupied. Come on, kill the ranged unit and then go kill the other one. There we go. Alright, so how long do we have to wait for? We have to wait 8 days to reduce the penalty. And actually, that actually isn't... Yeah, it's going to actually be a while before I can afford to annex another place. So, what does that mean for me? I think that means I stop conquering for now. Because really, I'm already too... Oh, because this is 2 bases away. Or 2 spots away. It's 2 spots away from the Imperial base, so it's extra expensive. This doesn't have a whole lot to recommend itself other than just bordering my base. This, of course, is another spice field, which we really want. Now, okay, so this is another favorite band of mine, Vazin, but I feel like this is gonna get smacked by it'll get flagged, I think. So it goes back to some Ali Akbar CSEC. Alright, let me just check my streaming stats super fast. Cool. What was I gonna look at real quick here? Oh yeah, my buildings situation. So I got tons of plascrete coming in. Does anyone want plascrete yet? At the moment, no one's hard up for it, which doesn't mean I can't trade it. Alright, so who would I want a truce with? Everyone's got hegemony going at the moment. Alright, here's the point of interest. Resolve and get intel. Cool, we're gonna do that. Is this another thing we can do? Just get straight up spice. I really do like the idea of... Alright, that gets taken immediately, which is great. What's this here? This is more military development, which is not my top priority. Reveal a siege. Yeah, we want to reveal this siege in our unit here. Alright, so after this dew collector finishes, we're going to get some fuel cells going. Right, so this is going to be a while before I can afford the authority for this. So that was maybe a mistake. So I'm going to take this one and this one and go back here.
It's an honor, Majesty.
And actually going to, yeah, go all the way back here. Can't afford anyone else at this point. Oh, I need more manpower. Need more manpower. Okay. Is manpower military base? I always forget. Yeah. So we're going to put it... We want to put the red buildings here. So the first thing we're going to do is manpower recruitment, and then after that we're going to do the fuel cells. Alright, hit 25 hegemony and can now build the main base. Sweet. We can't afford any of it. But we're close to affording it. Alright. And you get bonuses based on 1, 2, or 3 in here. I think I just want straight money. I think I want this to be plus 10 Solari production, 30 Solari. Yeah, I want to fill this out with economy. Let's see, a single military base developments. That's less important. Statecraft, influence, and intel. We'll put here. So I will be able to do the monument, which is hegemony, which is awesome, because that just starts building right now. All district bonuses of this imperial base are doubled. Ooh. Wait, all district bonuses? Wow. That's something. Although to be fair, the knowledge and hegemony early on is probably more important. Districts, let's see, economic lobbies. Well, this is showing what will happen if you go all the way with that. Solari production and authority production. Yeah, I do need that. I'm probably going to go for the administrative hall early on once I get the money, which will be soon. Is the vote happen yet? I'm never quite sure. So yeah, I'm still a ways away from there. Alright, so we are building the recruitment office. Because we do need more manpower. I already have tons of plascrete. Now I do get a benefit for... I don't know. There's some sort of... Which is the one where you have a benefit for all open... Right, here's Imperial Administration for 4 buildings of the same type. That's nice. Yeah, let me add that to the queue. That's less important, actually. Imperial Command. No supply drain in regions. No. Command point. That could be interesting. Alright, let's go to the armory here. Alright, so for our swordsmen... Did I already select that? Oh well. Did I just waste money on that? I think I just wasted money on that. Oh, that's a bummer. Well, live and learn. That was a stupid mistake. It just took my money and then it went away. How far away am I from the last save? It's not going to even tell me. Alright, whatever. I wasted the money. It's my fault. I'm not too concerned. I got tons of spice coming. Alright, so the question is, can I build more units? No, we still need... I'm at -11. Whoa, units regeneration? Yeah, I need manpower. I need this recruitment office to finish stat.
On duty.
'Cause I'm actually losing. Oh great, I got the -1. They gave me the -1 spice. Guys, I'm trying to pay off. I'm trying to pay this off for everybody. I did get the Landsrad, and I did get the authority production, so you know what? It's not so bad. I'm still able to afford everything. And now that I've got these guards, so these guys will give me number 2. And these guys will still be 1. Alright, so let's go take over these guys.
On the move.
How's my spice production going? Everything's going pretty well so far. Alright, how's my espionage? I'm just getting money, but that's fine. Scavenger team converts power of dying units. No. No, we don't need any of this stuff. Do not need any of this stuff. Alright. So here's the time to start maybe making some agreements with people. Does anyone need Plaskerate? I think Harkonnen does. Alright, what does that get me in terms of gold? Is it 1-to-1? It's almost 1-to-1. Nope, didn't want to do that. Let's see, 300 Plaskerate, 400 plus. So that's like 5 periods. So 300 gold for 400 Plaskerate. That sounds like a good deal. But I have so much Plaskerate coming in. I can just... Almost there. Let's get to 400 bucks. I want to hold on to my authority. What am I missing here? Am I missing Lanzared standing? Oh, I'm missing influence. Alright, let's just do this trade straight up. Yeah, do that. Let's see if they're going to take it. They accepted it. Alright, so we got a big gold influx. Now, with the authority bonus, that's going to make it easier to annex a village. But as much as I want to annex this village, it's going to be easier. It's going to be much easier to annex this one, which is connected to my, I think. Is this? Oh, no, it's also one away. I missed. With the spice field. None of these are really great. Oh, this spice... No, that spice field is also. So I'm going to end up dropping my second Imperial base when that happens around this area somewhere. Yeah, building double buildings. Yeah, I know, man. I know. I got double Plaskerate here. There's a grand plan. Do not worry. I mean, the refinery is a refinery. Building 2 refineries makes no sense. But we will build a second water here in order to make that happen. And then we're going to do double manpower production in this village when we get to that point.
Ready. We won't fail in our duty.
Alright, here we go. Oh, there's also gold over here. There's gold all over the place. I still have to get up to 132 authority, which may or may not happen. I maybe just want to pillage these buildings for now. And then I can come back, actually. Yeah, we're going to pillage. How long does the pillaging take? Not long. We're going to pillage and come back later.
We are listening, Majesty.
We're going to pillage and come back later. Alright, here we go. So, alright, so we're going to build... What are we going to build 2 more of over here? Intel per statecraft. So we'll build a couple of the same statecraft building. We could just go in on all intel. We just don't have a lot of money right now is the problem, which is actually part of why I maybe didn't want to pillage this, or maybe why I did. All right, so there's the pillage. So now cannot be targeted by an attack for 19 days. Okay, that's fine. So we're gonna send these guys over here. Here's more spice, but again, it's... Oh, this is only 78 for annexation, which isn't too bad, and I wouldn't mind having the second spice field. So we are going to hold on to this for now. Alright, let's see. So we've got the second dew collector going there. That's great. don't want to slack on militia. So I can start building in the Imperial base. I just need a little bit more money. I'm almost there. Yeah, the administrative hall, no question. Oh, all of a sudden, big drop in money. Do collectors, yeah, the plascrete factories. So why am I getting nailed on the plascrete factories? Even though I have doubled them. All right, so we're gonna have to put a second recruitment office here. To double up on that. And let's do a little bit more trading. Who's got money that needs plascrete? Everyone kind of needs plascrete. Who's got the hegemony bonus? We're all at 2,800 right now. Well, I'll keep taking the Harkonnen's money.
What do you want?
300. Wouldn't it actually doesn't hurt to have a truce going on, and I can turn this into more money, which is always good. All right, let's try this. Truce with the Harkonnens. Ugh. Trade is accepted. Awesome. So I've got a money. All right, so here we go. Oh, now I need the plascrete. All right, here I am. All right, administrative hall. Let's build it. Yeah, I really wish I hadn't. Well, I still think pillaging was the right call on that one. So this one is 78 authority. Do I want to pillage this too? I've got tons of stockpile. Let's see. What's just 300 bucks for it? I think I'd rather get, because I think I'm gonna want to drop. No, not here. Do I want to put two Imperial bases next to each other? I'm still a ways away from that happening. I really want a gold region. Alright, so why don't we take... How much longer do these guys have to live? 20 days. Alright, so these guys are going to go over here. And help with taking a gold region.
We serve the Imperium.
Didn't I have more? I thought I had more units here. All right, we'll conscript another swordsman. $78 to take that one. All right, so here's the Choa market. So it's tons, but we have to start buying shares. It's expensive right now, so we'll buy one set of shares. We've already got 9%, which is pretty great. But we do need some more money ultimately. We have plenty of spice. We actually need the plascrete for now. So right now we need to figure out how to get more gold. Now that's going to happen with the administrative hall. When we get the second recruitment office down. And then I guess we could do 4 double wholesale markets. Only costs 43 plascrete just to get the Solari production. We can always replace that later, just so we have it going. Yeah. And then here, okay, what do we have going on here? We have double dew collectors, refinery. Alright, so we definitely need money. Alright, so we've got one truce. I really want to get this. We're going to have to still wait on this one to get the Spice Wars going. Or the Spice Flow going, I should say. Alright, are there other missions we could be doing? Scanning this down. Oh, well, there's Harkonnen. I guess that was a good decision. Alright, so we're not going to be taking this region anytime soon. So I think what we're going to want to do is pillage this village. But that's going to still be a little ways away. Okay. Let's see. In the meantime... Oh, I really want that gold. And I really want the hegemony. How far is it away from... Oh, they're hostile because of it. That was stupid. So it can be taken, but it's ridiculously expensive too. This is 111, and this is 78. More spice. Alright, here we go. Alright, so I'm going to do a save here because I want to see if this does anything for me. At 111.
We are listening, Majesty. On the move. Agreed.
That might be the one actually worth waiting for. More than the spice. Because of the gold. New resolutions. Alright, so I can Imperial Edict stuff. Statecraft development's completion speed. Every used command point increases salary upkeep of military by 1%. Economy development's completion speed increased by 50%. Well, I don't have the resources to do that anyways, so that's fine. So maybe I should just pillage this village. Alright, let's see. Really want that gold. Is that worm sign? Alright, point of interest. Resolve. Reveal a siege. Supposed to reveal a siege. Reward. Fremen mercenary. Not too interesting. Military development. Could be good. I need to really be concerned about expansion of Harkonnen over here. So I really should actually be, as much as I wanted to. Oh, here's the siege. Okay. Yeah, trade 4 water for 4 spice. Hell yeah.
Yes, Majesty.
So maybe I kind of want to take this region. I'm almost there anyways. Alright, there's the construction, the recruitment office. So the manpower production should be good. And then we're going to do a second dew collector. Because we're doubling up on everything. So that's that. And then we're going to do... We don't need a second refinery. Alright, so how much is this to annex? 100. I think I want the second spice farm more, especially because of the encroachment of the Red Menace, if you will. So I think what we're going to do is pillage. And then let's see, these guys, we have to take over this area here. This is next to the base. It doesn't have anything amazing. One building of each type is also not amazing, but for strategic reasons, I kind of want to take it. I'm almost at the 67 I need for this. Alright, unassigned agent. Alright, well, we still need money. And we are trying to get into Choam, so let's do that right away. Consolidation. Yeah, this is more military stuff. Alright, so let's look at the market here. Alright, so price has gone up. We've still got 9%, which is good. Everyone's about even in the hegemony, so that's fine. Come on, get to the 67 so I can annex this and get more spice. And almost there. Come on, there it is. There goes. All right, what do we got? Construction complete. All right, so we're gonna do a second Solari building here to get that double goodness. Did we pillage successfully? We did. Okay. What else is touching our main base here? Only over here. And we're not going to go for the deep desert. I think we just go over and here and pillage. And keep building this sort of neutral zone area around us. Alright, the administrative hall is going to help a lot. Let's see how this fight goes. Raid detected. Yeah, let's be making sure. No, we can't leave this. Is everyone all militia'd up? Let's see what we got going on here. Yeah. I think we're just gonna pillage this guy too. And reveal another siege as well, which would be sweet. Trade request. What does he want? Is he offering me Solaris? I always forget this. First intel. What's my intel? I can't see it from here. 130 plus 2. So I can afford that. Plascrete I can definitely afford. And my spice stockpile is okay. Yeah, we'll go for it. But we're gonna have to adjust the spice a little bit. So we just took a big helping of straight cash, but lose a little bit of cash. But we're hopefully gonna. All right, so here we go. So immediately want to get. Wait, this isn't the refinery? What? Why can't I build a refinery here? Oh, I just need more plascrete. Okay, that's fine. But I can start getting a militia going, which will be nice. Alright. Well, 2.5 hours is a good first stream. So let's get through this turn. And we're going to take a look at the situation. I guess we're still fighting here.
It's an honor, Majesty.
Oh no, that was a different fight. Right, construction complete. Okay, so we got the manpower production, manpower, do, and now we're gonna go fuel cells. when we can afford it. Should we get a demolition militia? Sure. Alright, so there's the administrative hall, Solari. That's great. Next, we're going to do one of those two. We'll worry about that later. Alright, output logistics. The authority penalties down. That's great. We're trading with a siege. That could be important. 4 villages of the same type is great. Oh, are we doing modular parts now? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Alright. Whoops. Siege detected. Excuse me. No, we're already trading with them. Alright. This will be a good place to save. Come back later. Losing my voice. Thanks for joining. We'll definitely be back on later. Peace, y'all.